Hi and welcome to this Aries inspired reading for November 2025. This is a timeless reading, but this is when I'm recording it, and I am working with the symbolism of the tarot cards, symbolism of Western astrology, to provide you with a picture, an audio visual picture that you maybe can use to work on your self development, a new perspective, a new insight, and maybe some inspiration. So let's see, we are looking at a general energy in the first part of the reading. Second part of the reading, we are looking at a relationship dynamic, and I am very curious about what we want to talk about here. All right, Aries, let's go. Ooh, Seven of Pentacles. Give me a little bit of time and context. Ooh, that's a lot. That is a lot of cards. Huh. Okay. This is the type of reading where there's really a picture, and I might not be able to really go into the detail of every card, but it is quite complex in a way. The Prince of Pentacles here on the bottom of the deck is really suggesting that we're working on something long term, and we really feel like this is maybe hard work, but we're really thinking long term. We're really thinking, how can we move into a sustainable, fruitful harvest and how can we really use our resources to get there. And you can see here this card is also representing Taurus, and Taurus is a lot about like sustainable work and a long breath, you know. If this ox here in the front of the carriage is carrying all these things here in this carriage, he needs a lot of strength in the long term. He's not a fast runner, but he has to go far. So this is what we maybe are thinking about right now when it comes to accomplishing things. It could be money, it could be work, it could also of course be a relationship, but we will talk about that in a second. And it is about really doing the work to get to the result, and to know exactly what to do to also have the results, and to also have your fruits that you can harvest, if we want to put it more poetically. The Two of Cups here, interesting, is also a card that suggests, okay, we want to still at the same time come from a place of love, connection. We also want to do the work out of the right reasons, and there also needs to be an emotional connection to this work, whatever work it is. I feel like this is more really about work environment for some reason, and we might have a little bit of a conflict here with exactly those things. I do what I love, but it feels like it's failing. That's what I intuitively get here with the Seven of Pentacles. But it is really just, I think, a roadblock or a little bump in the road where we're like, okay, we need to make those mistakes. We need to make these, we need to try out things. We need to also figure out what we can do better. We also need to figure out what doesn't work and what works in the long term if we want to come to our Ten of Pentacles, which would be the end goal from the Pentacles. The Seven of Pentacles is the last. The sevens in the tarot are often the last little challenge where we've come very far. We've come to the seven. We don't have one pentacle or two or three, we have seven pentacles. So now is the time to really fine-tune the little things that we can do different. And it's not, often it feels like failure. Often it feels like, you know, losing, but it is really more about finding the details that bring us to success, because we've come pretty far and we've also established a lot and we've manifested a lot, but it's just not exactly what we want, and it feels like we might get a little bit of a discouragement here. But it really, what it should do is encourage us to really look a little closer and to take into account what really we can do better, or what we can do more ideal, or it's really a card of learning from your mistakes and also making the mistakes to be able to learn something, because if you don't make mistakes you don't learn nothing. Yeah, so that's that. And now, after this moment of feeling maybe something is not working out quite the way we want it to work out, and we kind of maybe don't yet know why, it seems like there is a moment of clarity and understanding what we can do differently, which is here the Ace of Swords. It's coming. It seems like there is this aha moment coming, there is this realization coming, there is this clarity coming, there is an understanding coming. It's a very, very rational, logical, intellectual understanding. It's not just like an intuitive thing, it's also like, oh yeah, I get it, I see the mistake. And I mean, that's the most important thing, you know. You can, whatever you do, and I'm thinking of musicians, or I don't know why, but there's a lot of people who will, you know, point out your mistakes, and that's sometimes helpful, but sometimes it's just like not helpful, because we know our mistakes most of the time anyway, and sometimes we need somebody to point it out. I'm not really sure why this is coming through, but most of the time we will get to the point where we're like, this went wrong, or this is what happened. And this is kind of the Ace of Swords here. And the Ace of Swords kind of emerges out of this Lust card and the Queen of Cups, which is a super interesting information and also combination, because those two cards represent both very kind of not contradictory, but contrasting layers of an archetypal sort of femininity. So this is two kind of different energies that represent the feminine. And the Queen of Cups, she really represents the loving, giving, understanding, nurturing, gentle, quiet, sensitive force, a motherly, sensitive force, and all encompassing, if that's a word, love or loving energy, very healing energy as well. And the Lust card, on the other hand, represents more the all-devouring type of sexual femininity. So it is, if you're male or female, whatever, or feminine, you identify as whatever, this is really still tapping into a feminine power within yourself, which always is connected to some sort of acceptance and inner transformation and emotional intelligence. Also the Lust card. The Lust card is just also paired with a drive, more like a survival type of drive and an instinctive drive. The Queen of Cups is more of the gentle and accepting and tolerating energy that transforms through pure love. Which is, it's very interesting. If you really look deeper into those cards, the Lust card is the same thing, basically. It's just a more physical, instinctive, animalistic thing. But she is also, with her all acceptance, she is also transforming. Yeah, but the Lust card and the Strength card is, there is more of this sex drive type dynamic in it. And what does that mean for a general reading? It doesn't mean that we are now all having a crazy sex drive. It's more like a life force. We can translate that sexual drive or these desires into a life force that really drives us forward, and it makes us creative and makes us ignited and makes us alive and makes us passionate towards whatever it is. It's not about I need to procreate, but it's more like I need to bring myself into the world in whatever form it is, you know. So that's what moves us, that's what drives us also. And out of that, I think out of that combination, finding that within ourselves, finding that contrast between the all-accepting, also self-love type of energy of the Queen of Cups, and this also drive that shows us what excites us, what motivates us, what really makes us move, what makes us act. Out of that, we gain also the clarity of what we want to do differently in the long term, what we want to, or what we haven't seen. I feel like this is really just a realization, like, I have not looked at this in this way, and it's beautiful. All right, these readings are banging. These November readings, they're just, I don't know what's going on, but it's just different. Okay, let's see relationships. Relationships in Scorpio season, always interesting. Deep stuff most of the time. So let's see. This can be any relationship, of course, but it can also be romantic. And we can look at you and another person. The first person that pops into your mind, it could be, you know, a family member or love interest, doesn't matter, is probably the person you want to know more about, or maybe not. Could also be another person that you are not thinking about. Anyway, so this other person, Five of Cups in the reverse. So there's two ways to read these cards, or this card when it's in the reverse. And I'm just gonna start with that without context, and you can pick, you know, which route you want to take. Five of Cups in the reverse is either an energy that has a hard time tapping into their, let's put it into quotes, negative emotions or negative feelings, that really don't want to look at disappointments, that don't want to look at the uncomfortable feelings that have to be felt sometimes, that have a hard time moving through the emotion rather than around it. If that's the case, you know, it's just kind of a sign of emotional immaturity, or just some skills haven't been developed to really process your feelings, which is, it's hard. It's not, you know, it's not, I'm not judging. It could also be a card where somebody is just not letting themselves get disappointed. So it could be also a protection type of energy where somebody's like, I'm not going to get disappointed by any, I'm not going to have any expectations, so I cannot really be disappointed. It could be a card that is speaking of protection. Yeah, it's probably the best way, emotional protection. But let's see. The Lovers in the reverse. Well, yeah, it seems like it could be a love reading very well. It could be like that you might be dealing with a situation where it's really like, we can go both ways again. It's either like, okay, this person is emotionally not capable of really processing negative emotions and really feeling them, and that's kind of unhealthy. And therefore, I feel like this is not the right person for me, or I'm not going to trust this because it doesn't seem like I should really step further into this. I should let myself fall into this. It's the Lovers in the reverse. Or it could be you're just not into somebody as much as you wish you, or you're not trusting something so much that you really want to let yourself go deeper into something, and therefore and this other person is okay with it. They're not disappointed. They're like, all right, it is just not a match, you know. This could also be the case. Either way, it's, sorry to disappoint you, but right now it's not a match, you know. There is too much protective energy, or too much there's no real mirror. It's like, okay, this is not my, it doesn't seem like we can connect. Doesn't seem like I can learn too much from this right now. And it might be disappointing, of course, you know, or it might feel like a failure because we have this Seven of Pentacles lying above it. But it's still, you can't force a connection, you know, it's just, you can't. You can try, but it's not going to be fun, I tell you. It is not going to be fun. Okay. And I know Aries is a forceful energy sometimes, and they want to make something work, but just because you want to do something doesn't mean it has to always work out, you know. King of Potions in the reverse. Yeah. And the Empress on the bottom of the, I like the Empress on the bottom of the deck because we have a indication that we are able to step back into a more receptive and accepting energy, and we are capable of attracting things and letting things grow organically, and we're still being able to sit in our power and to stay in our power and not going after something or trying to make something work or trying to be too proactive into a direction where we feel like it's not growing. So the Empress is really good at receiving energy and working with what's coming towards her and taking it and making it grow. And that's good that we have that stability in our corner. But yeah, and I'm scratching my right hand. It's like, it's not the time, maybe even if you have an itch, you know, to act, it's probably not the time to do so, which is maybe even a little, yeah, it's probably difficult. But we have a King of Potions here in the reverse, and there is most definitely, and I said this term a couple of times, and I don't want to offend anybody, obviously, but with the King of Potions in the reverse, we do have to work a little bit on our emotional, or on our skills to be mature emotionally about connecting to people and deeper connections. Because when the King of Potions is in the reverse, it's the King of Cups, then we might get a little overthrown by our emotions, or we might have a hard time understanding what's going on, or we might have a hard time reacting calmly, or we cannot really keep our emotional life so much under control and deal with it maturely that connection is feeling right, I want to say. And that's also the Lovers in the reverse. It just doesn't feel right, you know. Maybe it's even just like, because still we are here very much in our power and we know what we want to attract, and we were very, very mature still at the same time. Maybe we just feel like, oh, this is really throwing me off balance emotionally, and both people maybe feel that, and therefore we're like, no, maybe this is not what I'm gonna step into further, because I can tell that this is just throwing me off too much. And that's also a learning process, and it's of course a learning process to mature even more in our emotional realm and in our way of handling and processing and dealing with our emotions. Okay, then let's see what the oracle cards want to say. Just one. Cutting through, that's coming out the third time for, like, I don't know, this is the 6th reading I think I'm doing. It's coming out all the time and I still need to read it. I mean, you can already tell, of course, it's kind of cord cutting energy, which is a good thing. So 49, cutting through. The resolution of the path of the self, decisive action in all areas, practicality, real action related to destiny. It's a water card, so it's about our emotional life. And cutting through, we have an Ace of Swords here. That's always also a card of cutting through. So yeah, we want to maybe cut through these moments where we feel like this is not the right thing for us. Why? What am I doing wrong? Or what's going wrong? Or why? This is the Seven of Pentacles type of energy when it comes to connection to people or to environments or to things, you know. What am I missing? And I feel like this is maybe the month where we really can find the realization what's missing and cut it out, you know, like for good. Because Scorpio season is also, when we are in Scorpio, we really go deep to the roots, and often we just like, you know, rip something out at the roots and throw it away and it's gone. That's Scorpio, you know, it's like dead. And that's why it's also talking about the death card in the tarot and death and rebirth. So I feel like that's something needs to be realized here, and that's the process here of realizing very clearly what doesn't work and what we need to cut out and what needs to be cut through. Love that energy for you. So yeah, thank you so much for being here. Please check out my description box. As always, please leave me a like, comment, subscribe, and come back next time if you may. So yeah, I'll see you soon and have a great time. Until then, goodbye.